Welcome back, dear viewers. Thank you so much for staying with us. You're still watching this edition of The Breakfast Show live on Nile TV International. And now it's time for our first topic of discussion for today. And the Minister of Irrigation and Water Resources, Dr. Muhammad Abdulati, asserted that the ministry has executed a great number of projects that focuses on the desalination of water and sewage maintenance. The ministry had earlier declared a state of emergency in the possibility of floods and rains, which have actually occurred in Saloum in the last few days. And to shed more light on this topic, we're most delighted to be joined here in the studio by Mr. Sameh. He's the head of the ground and water sector, Ministry of Irrigation and Water Resources. First of all, good morning, sir, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
Good morning, sir. We were just discussing right now, talking about the precautions taken just to avoid any more crises for floods and all this. Talking about climate change in general, because we were not used for all this in Egypt. So could you tell us more about these projects?
First of all, I would like to say that rain is a gift from God. Unfortunately, Egypt is located in a very severe arid region, and we don't see rains except the northern coast of Egypt, starting from Rafah till west of Egypt in Saloum.
Thanks God we started to see the rain right now,
right.
all over.
Right. However, because we are not prepared socially to live with rain in the desert, especially in the western desert and in the urban areas, it turns to be a crisis for us. However, most of the countries like us, like Jordan or arid countries, they heavily utilize this rain and they use it even at home for drinking purposes. Let's talk about Egypt here. First of all, we know for sure that people are concentrated where water is available. In Egypt here, we are located along the Nile and in the Nile Delta. We are located in the western desert around the oasis. We are located along the coastal zone in Rafah because we have rain, and in Saloum and Matouf. Those people who are living there, they know how to live with the available resources they have. And we have this permanent settlement because the permanent existence of water. Unfortunately, in the arid areas like the Red Sea or Sinai, we can stay several years without any rain at all. And Bedouins, they have the insight to know the location that water or rainfall is occurring more frequently, and they have permanent residence. However, and as a part of the nature, there are what we call long drought periods. You can stay like more than 5 years with no rain at all at the same location. This is why people migrate to somewhere else. And this is the role of our country here, our government, how to get these people tied to the land. It's just to maximize or to increase the efficiency of the water harvesting. And this is what we are doing in the Ministry of Water Resources by taking all the engineering measures to harvest this water through the construction of storage dams, artificial recharge to this water into the ground.
What is the artificial?
We collect this water in the basins and it percolates downward and it's stored in the groundwater, and then we pump this water using the wells. And the best techniques that we applied already in Egypt during the past 5 years, what we call it mountainous lakes. Actually, before the rainfall start to flow on the ground, we capture this rainfall at the top of the mountains. And people with this very small pipe, they take the water from the top of the mountain all the way to the ground. This stored water, it goes to the cracks and to the groundwater aquifers, and it causes replenishment to the groundwater wells. So at the ministry, because it is very, very expensive to construct all these engineering structures, and we think for the low cost technology techniques that could help us harvest more water with low cost. Because we, at the end, we are not a very rich country. We are trying to do the best with the least money we can afford.
Sir, speaking about what happened in Saloum, can you please explain to us and the viewers what happened and how has the Ministry of Irrigation and Water Resources dealt with this crisis?
Yeah, actually, Saloum and starting from Hammam area all the way west to Saloum, they witness permanent rainfall
Heavy
or regular.
rains.
Yeah, all over the world that varies between 50 millimeters and it reaches up to 300 millimeters. 300 millimeters, this could be a medium-sized wet rain. It's good rain for people to cultivate crops.
And irrigation and
yes,
so on.
and we have the best fig coming out from Marsa Matruh and olives. And they grow barley and wheat in some cases. So these people, actually, they pray to have this rain every day because they use it, actually, for their economic and social benefits. And the nature there is very peace. You have too much rain, but over a long period of time. So you don't feel the destructive part of the rain. The rain is turned to be destructive if you have too much rain in a very small
short duration.
And this rain, it falls on the top of the mountains, and all this amount of water, all of a sudden it runs down with a full power that you can't stop it, and it ends up, it goes to the sea or to the Nile. So people there, the Bedouins, we should ask the Bedouins, what did you do with this rain? Are you prepared? Did you spread your seeds to grow the wheat and the barley? And I'm sure they work very closely there with the Ministry of Agriculture. In terms of the role of the Ministry of Water Resources, in such areas, our role is very limited to the following: harvesting some of this rainfall for the drinking purposes, either for the animals or for the people, through construction of underground tanks with different storage between 250 cubic meter all the way to 1,000 meters. And this is sufficient for this small settlement to survive and to stay for the coming year until they receive the next rainfall.
I think it all depends also about the structure or the nature of the area. For
Exactly.
example, in Marsa Matruh, it is completely different from Ras Gharib, for example.
Exactly.
And the mountains, and what we've heard, that the flood or the rain, the water while moving from up to down, it brought snakes and all of this. Do you agree with me, or each place has its own precautions, for example?
Actually, the rainfall, when it falls from the sky and the mountains, if the rain falls on a flat area, you will never see any runoff. It will stay forming these swamps. But because it's falling on mountains and it ends to a sloping surface, it continues running. And it carries with it the debris and the snakes, whatever is
in
there.
The mountains, of course.
Yes. But what we are talking about in Saloum, we're talking about the rain that falls on the flat areas close to the Mediterranean. And you don't have much of runoff, except in some few wadis or rivers, dry rivers, that water is just running through to the Mediterranean, and people there, with the help of the donor agencies, they construct several dams to store this water, and they use it in agriculture. In Red Sea or
This is
Sinai.
individual efforts from the
No,
people
really,
over
actually-
there. I mean, is this governmental, or this is their own efforts to do this?
Both way. Actually, people there, they lived there before forming any government in Egypt. People are living there several centuries ago. But the
They have the
government,
experience.
Exactly. Actually, we go as a government to build on their experience, to just improve their skills and help them with modern technology, if any. But the opposite side, in Sinai and Red Sea, the mountains are really, really high and with very, very steep slopes. And for us as engineers, it's really hard to manage this water. And in most of the cases, it's more economically to leave this water to go to the sea because it is part of maintaining the ecological system. Yani, you have to get this water to go to the Gulf in some areas like Dahab or Sharm el-Sheikh, because some of this culture there, they are balanced with the nutrients.
How
and
are
the
they
sediments.
going? How this water will go to the sea, for example? You have already paved the way for this, or still you are working on projects? Or what?
The nature was formed like this. The lowest part in this, on the earth, is the oceans and the seas. And other than that, everything is higher. And water is moving from higher level to lower
level.
So there's natural pathways, like the River Nile. The River Nile is not a man-made, it is natural. Just to allow the water that falls on the Nile Basin countries to run through to reach the Mediterranean. So we're talking about a natural system. However,
what I'm asking about is that we have inhabitants in between the mountains and the
Exactly.
sea. This is what I'm asking
Yeah.
about. So when the water will move from up to down or
Yes.
to the lower level, it will pass on me. That's the point. Is there a way that I can avoid this and it can move immediately to where it
Yes.
has to go?
Let's agree that these inhabitants are random settlements. They shouldn't be there because they are staying
But they
in
are
front.
there.
Yes. So what we do, we control the water from upstream to prevent water reaching to these people. But I tell you, we will spend a lot of money and we will never be able to control it all unless we do something similar to the High Aswan Dam, which is very expensive. But what we do, we try to divert this water, to manage this water to flow away from these guys, and hopefully what we do from the engineering point of view would be successful. So far, we constructed like more than 160 hydraulic structure to manage or to control this flash flood water. And if we see destructions, it's mostly in the areas which is not protected yet, and the government is working hard to just to overcome.
Try to, yes.
Yeah.
Speaking about overcoming this problem, does it need collaboration of different segments of the government? If you can tell us more, and who should specifically work on this problem to resolve it?
It's an excellent point that we need really to address in this program here. You can't do anything by yourself, no matter what. If we are not going to work in a participatory way, whatever you do, someone will say, no, this is not correct. So we learned over the past 5 years that we go and select the site in participation with the stakeholders. People who live there, they are the best who tell you how water is flowing in this area.
Mm-hmm.
What we are going to do is the best or not. Secondly, in terms of governmental organizations, I think each government entity, they know their role exactly. So it is better everyone to focus on what he is doing and share his knowledge and expertise with the others to implement this knowledge. At the end, we suffer from one thing, is funding. Because this country has priorities. And everything in the country is a priority. Mm-hmm. Education, health, food, and at the end it comes to the flood. So the most important component to reduce the risk of these floods is to go to the non-engineering solutions, which is the people, the inhabitants. People, they should be aware of this problem. They should live with it. Like people in Japan, they live with the crisis of the earthquakes. They are very well trained. Here, we need to alert people about the danger of these floods and how to avoid this risk. Successfully, we have the soft tools that can allow us to predict the occurrence of these floods prior to its occurrence by 72 hours. During this period, we have enough time to go and tell people, hey, stay away from the floodway. And it doesn't take too long. Maximum 24 hours, everything will be gone. So this is, I feel, the most economic solution, and we need to really invest on implementing this by training students, people about the flood risk and how to stay away from it.
But why we were not able to do this in Ras Gharib, for example? As long as we can do it in just as you mentioned, 24 hours or something. Is it about the people? Is it about, again, the nature or the structure of the place?
Not really. I would like to say people here...
Because natural disasters, we cannot stand in front of natural disasters, of course. We cannot prevent it.
Yeah.
But at least take the needed procedures or measures to protect people as much as we can.
You are absolutely right. Unfortunately, even with the tools we have to forecast or predict what will happen, we're still unsure about the level of risk. And because of this weak integration, and we really unsure, because you're talking about a phenomenon that occurs every year now, but in different places.
And did not exist before.
Yes. In Sinai, when we tell people there, the government officials, there is a flood, they take preventive measures immediately. They close roads. Bedouins there, they are smart, and they never get hurt with these floods because they know the risk out of it. But in Red Sea, this is new to us here. What happened in Ras Gharib, it might be because the high intensity of the rainfall event that occurred. Secondly, it took really long time between the start of the rainfall and the occurrence of the problem, because the rainfall happens on a mountain that's located 50 kilometers away from these people. So they felt like everything is sunny and no problem, and all of a sudden they found this water coming through them. Some people, they said because it's that the intervention in the nature, because constructing illegal settlements, constructing of roads, changing the pathway of the flood, this caused the problem. I said, yes, this is one of the reasons, but there is a more important reason, which is that people stayed in the pathway of the water. And I agree, we should have told these people, hey guys, you know, it's like there is a possible risk, and we should take it seriously. Even if it didn't happen, so what? As if it's one day off. But we will prevent, like, you know, it's like people who died and the loss of the...
Sir, as we're wrapping it up, your recommendations.
My recommendation is that we should take it seriously, that there is a possible climate change. Stay away from the danger areas, not only in relation to water and the floods, but also to the traffic. It's nonsense for people to walk in the middle of the street or crossing the streets while the car is running fast. It's the same. We need to change our behavior as Egyptians. We should respect, like, you know, like the media, when they say, the media, hey, you have to behave well, you have to stay away. You should listen to the scientists or to the intellectual people. My second recommendation is that before planning, before doing anything, we need to have an integrated plan with all involved ministries, and please, 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 don't forget people, the end user, the beneficiaries. Don't forget the environment. Don't forget even the fish who lives in the water. He has the right out of these floods and rainfall.
Right, of course, this is something of great importance as well. And I believe now people started to take it seriously. And we have seen by ourselves the climate change and how to respect nature in general. Well, Mr. Sameh Shukri, thank you very much for being with us. And thank you very much for the tips that you have given to us.
Mr. Sameh Saqr, head of
Mr. Sameh Saqr.
Head of the Ground and Water Sector, Ministry of Irrigation and Water Resources. Thank you so much for your insight, and thank you so much for being with us. Dear viewers, a short break, and we'll be back to resume the remaining segments of The Breakfast Show live on Nile TV International.